and I'm hoping that some of you are going to be around to join me live tonight. Very, very cool. I hope everyone's had a great weekend. It has been pretty chilly here today, even though it was beautiful. Like the sun was out and it was lovely, but there's a bit of a nip to the air. So I hope everyone is well, though. We are officially in lockdown. Even though I don't live in Sydney, we live an hour and a half north of Sydney. And it's every time Sydney has a what they call Greater Sydney lockdown. Unfortunately, that includes us, and it includes the Blue Mountains, and it also includes the Wollongong area to the south of Sydney. They're about the same distance south that we are north, and it's a bit of a shame because, luckily, right now, cross fingers, we don't have any cases here. But Sydney's had a little outbreak, so or not so little, so they are dealing with that, and unfortunately, we have to go along for the ride. So we're currently in lockdown, which means we can't leave our homes. Hey, Kay, good evening. I'm just going to go into the video to make sure that I can see your comments. Let's see. Oh, no, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at last Sunday night's video. This one hasn't popped up. Let me refresh the screen, see if that works. Here we go. Now it's there. All right, and I've got the sound off. Hey, Elizabeth. Hi, Cindy. Hi there. And Cherie, hello. Okay, so because of that, that means, hang on a second. Are you guys able to hear me okay? Because I just got a message from my AirPods to say that they're not working. Why are they not working? They were working before I started. I'm having technical challenges, as I sometimes do when I come on here. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Okay, sound is good. Okay. Am I still frozen? Because it looks like it's not frozen on my screen, but I saw that it was for a second or two. Yep, you can hear me okay? All right, so at the moment, I don't think my AirPods are actually connected. So I guess we'll just go without them. I've got them in my ears. I'll leave them there. We'll see what happens. Hey, Therese, nice to see you. How's Tamworth? Is it cold? My dad's up there, and yeah, I think they're pretty cool up there. They've had some cold nights, I know that. All right, so I'm going to get started pretty quickly, and we'll get going on some fun stuff. It's my biggest challenge for these live videos is trying to decide what to play with because there's too many choices, right? And sometimes it might be a technique, sometimes it might be a product, sometimes it might be a suite or a bundle. And tonight I'm going to play with something because the paper is retiring. So we've only got 3 days left of our current mini catalogue. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then it's all over. So a few things are sold out, but most things are still available, and a lot of it is marked down. Like we've got stuff that's up to 50% off in there. So definitely, if you haven't already, go check it out. There's still 3 days left, and you can still make the most of it. Okay, so let's get this switched around and see what I can do. 1 second, please. Just bear with me. All right, now this is the bit where I try not to switch the phone off while I'm going around. It looks like we're doing okay. There is the AirPod case that's misbehaving. Don't know what's going on there. All right, now I'm down here. So hopefully I'm still close enough to the microphone that you can hear. All good, not too bad. Excellent. Hello, Patricia, all the way from New York. I'm assuming that's New York State, right? It's not New York City. So Rushford is somewhere upstate New York, maybe? I don't know. I have been through New York, and it's a very, very beautiful state. I went there once. I was on a bus from near Niagara Falls, actually, not far from there. And I caught a bus down to New York, and we went through like Buffalo and then down through all those places. And the first on the way down was at night, but on the way back was during the day, and it was just beautiful. And it was September. It was September, I think, by the time we got there. So, it was autumn. It was just a lovely, lovely time of year. All right, so here's the catalogue that is going out. This one's gotten a bit ratty. It's well thumbed, but this one I've got a highlighter mark on it, and the reason why that's there is because this tells me this is one of the ones that I've gone through and marked with a highlighter pen everything that's discontinuing. Okay, so so what I wanted to play with for you tonight is on page 40, 41, and it's the Sand and Sea Suite. Now, don't panic. I'll say this straight up. The stamps and the dies and the embossing folder are not retiring. You don't have to worry. Those things are going to be sticking around. But there's a couple of things that are. The Seaside Shells, which is the stickers, these little guys, which I've actually got right here. And I was thinking I might give away a pack of those over on my private Facebook page this week before they retire. And then we've also got the Sand and Sea Designer Series paper. Now, this paper is divine. It's really, really beautiful. When I first saw it, I wasn't sure I was going to like it because it looked very, very pastel-y to me. And I tend to prefer things that maybe are a little brighter, or if I am going to use pastels, I'll want to add some, some shine, bling, foil, those sorts of things in there as well. But when you see the papers up close, they're actually really, really gorgeous, and they're lovely watercolored kind of designs. Now, the paper's retiring. It's normally $20 and it's marked down 40%. So grab it while you can because this one will not be available after this week. So it may sell out before Wednesday, but yeah, if I was wanting this at a bargain price, I would be jumping on and grabbing it as soon as you can. All right. If you're wondering where to go, I will put after the video, I'll put the address for my online store in the comments in the description below. It's also all over my blog and it's on my Facebook page and all that kind of stuff. All right, so you can see how beautiful these are. And like always, they're two-sided. We've got a little starfish on this side. You can see I've chopped this one up. It's been well used, well loved. Then I've got, kind of, to me, it looks like waves, really, really pretty little dots. This almost looks a little bit Aboriginal, this to me. So did anyone else have that thought when they looked at this paper? Kind of got that Aboriginal dot painting feel. Little sea urchins on one side here and more watercolor goodness on the other side. More of those dots, more sea urchins. You can see I'm going to use this one tonight. This is Sahara sand with the watercolor kind of look to it, and the other side has some shells. And just all of it is really pretty. More watercolor, little shells with pink and white. And I've got a few sheets of that left over in my stash. And look, there's some of the waves in the pink. And this is Flirty Flamingo. Actually, the colors are always written on the back of your paper pack. So they're on here. Blushing Bride, Flirty Flamingo, Melon Mambo, they're the three pinks. So this has actually got all three of those colours in it. And so Saffron is the yellow. It's a soft yellow. Sahara Sand is the greyish kind of neutral, this one. And then you've also got Seaside Spray, which is a retired colour. So that was this blue here, okay? And we don't have that anymore because it was in the annual catalogue that's just retired. So instead, I've been using it with Balmy Blue and it works quite well. So I'm going to do that tonight as well. So let me move these out of the way. How's everyone been? Do you have a lovely weekend? Anyone else in lockdown like me? So how do Stampin' Up demonstrators cope with lockdown? Well, I guess we craft more. That's nice. I love the paper too, Therese. It's gorgeous. Yes, 3 packets, Cherie. Yep, you're like me. You're addicted. If I really like paper, I buy more than one. That way I can use both sides and I have zero guilt. All right. Oh, so Penrith's in lockdown, of course, Vicky. Yes, you're Greater Sydney as well, but the other side of the city. So for me, when we went into lockdown initially last year, and it was all a bit of a shock, I'm not so worried about it this time because we've been here before, right? And we got through it last time. We can do it again. We know that. But last year when we did it, I had a major panic because my business was mostly, I would say, probably 3/4, if not more, face-to-face and a little bit of online to service my customers. But what I've really done over the last year is I've ramped up my online stuff. So I'm doing the Facebook Lives and this live, YouTube Live like I am right now. I also started running online classes. At the beginning, I was doing a couple of those a month. Now I'm down to one a month, but I have been pretty good. Occasionally, I'll throw in a second one, but I've got one running right now. In fact, registration's closed for that tomorrow. So if you're interested in the Pansy Petals online class, you don't have to be available at a certain time. You just have the tutorial to refer to anytime you like. I love the cards in that class. If you're interested, all the details are on my blog, and there's two ways to get it. You can buy the tutorial only for $20, or you can place an order through my online store, use the host code that I've nominated for the class, and when you do that, that tells me you want to be part of the class. Just have to have a $50 order anything you like. Doesn't have to be what we're using in the class, and you get to me to send you all the supplies as well as a tutorial, and you just do it in your own time at a time that suits you. They've been so popular. I'm so glad I've done them. I've decided to keep doing them as long as I can, as long as there is interest. And so far so good. Everyone seems to love them. I've had some great feedback. All right. The other thing that's in this page that is not retiring is this pearlescent specialty paper. So I'll come back to that because we're going to use that as well. Okay. So all right, so let's have a little look. Here is the stamp set. It's really, really lovely because I think the sentiments in this set are fantastic. There's one that says happy birthday to my beautiful friend, and I have used that a whole bunch of times. I just think that's such a nice sentiment. If I was wanting to wish someone a happy birthday, that's how I'd want to say it. I think that's lovely. And then you've got, these are actually not to scale because there's so many. There's 23 stamps that they've made them smaller just to fit them on the cover. You can see the actual size of them here. So this big one, you can see it's quite a bit bigger than it is here on the cover. So great little set. Fantastic. 23 stamps. Then to match that, of course, very important, we have some dies. Are they all in here? Yeah. Okay, so we've got, this die set has 6 dies in it. It's got this great big one that cuts out a whole like card front, and we're going to use that one. In fact, I've already used it, and I'll show you how it works. And then we also have some other dies in here as well that cut out some of the stamp shapes. So this one cuts out the sand dollar, and you've got your starfish, your little bits of seaweed, little shell. This is a little bit of this little seaweedy kind of stuff here. So you've got all these little bits and pieces, and I seem to be missing a die out of there. That's not very good because I've only got 5 dies. Is that right? Hang on. No, that's right, because that's the 6th one. Okay, so yeah, don't panic, Linda. It's all good. See, I thought I'd lost something. I mean, I always lose something when I do these lives, but I thought I'd lost something and I hadn't. There you go. All right, so I've got my little trusty brush here because I've used this a moment ago to cut out before I just thought it would save us some time to, I'm using my take your pick tool. This is such a great tool. If you're using die cuts a lot, grab one of these. It comes with a putty end to pick up like little sequins and little things that are on your desk, but you can buy this brush attachment that just screws into the end. Okay, I just think it's fantastic. My brush attachment lives on mine almost all the time because I use that more than I use the putty end. I've got a pokey tool here, which is nice and sharp, and I've also got like a little chislet tool for getting under things or between things. But I do find I use this tool a lot. I'm always reaching for it, and it's very, very handy. Has anyone else got a take your pick tool? Do you love it? Oh, you had to cancel a class, Vicky. I know it's sad, isn't it? I'm deciding. I've got a class I did have a couple of little things happening over the next while that I will postpone. I'm not cancelling. I try not to cancel. I will postpone, but I don't use the word cancel because it's an ugly, ugly word, I reckon. And my next actual scheduled class here is the 14th. So if everything goes to plan and they get the virus thingy under control, the outbreak under control, we should be out of lockdown on the 9th. But if it extends, I may have to postpone that class. So the other thing I can do is I can go online. I can do it on Zoom, which I have done before. Just means I have to send out all the materials and we just do it all together. So I've done a few of those during this time. That was something I'd never done before like that. And I've gotten quite comfortable with them actually. So there you go. All right, so we've got this little piece here and I'm deciding which card we're going to do first. I think we will do deciding. Okay, I'm going to do this one first. I'm going to use the pearlescent paper. All right, so I've already gone ahead and I've cut out this little piece of pearlescent paper. You might notice, there's a few little bits here that just need to be pushed out. You might notice that this stuff, it's on page 41 of that mini page that I just showed you, the mini catalogue. And I think it's $7. I better double check that for you. Someone could maybe check it while I'm pushing out my bits, but I can also check because it's right here. So 41, here we go. Yes, $7, you get two 12 by 12 sheets. And I don't know if you can see this in the light or not. Can you see it? It's got like this beautiful sheen to it. Really, really nice. I really rather like it. And this is the bit where I'm now going to introduce you to the third part of this because, and this is really what I wanted to talk about tonight, is we're talking a little bit about embossing folders and how they interact with some of our suites. All right, and we've got a couple right now that are kind of interesting. So this one here, it's called Friends Are Like Seashells. Here it is right here. I'll just put something dark behind that so you can see it. I wonder if that's dark enough. Can you see that? All right, see the lovely shape. Now, if you're looking closely, you should realize that this actually matches these. All right, they actually match. So it's rather cool because you can cut out your shape and then you can run it through your machine and emboss your shape. All right. Now, the other thing is these little things here match the stamps. So we can stamp, we can actually emboss, and we can also cut it out. So I usually cut the shape first, and then once I've got this cut out, I'm actually going to line this up. Now, the easiest way, little tip for you, to line this up is to line up these little leaves down the bottom. If you get those leaves at the bottom lined up, everything else falls into place. And you can sort of see it from the front here. I can see that they're lined up well. So let's bring my cut and emboss machine in, and I'm going to emboss this. I've got to use my big machine for this because my little one won't fit this width of embossing folder. It only goes to 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters wide. So when you're using a 3D folder like this, yes, aren't they great, Cherie? I love the Take Your Pick tool. All right, so what we're doing, we're putting in our base plate, number 1. And normally you have number 1, then number 2, and then you have your cutting plates, then number 3. For an embossing folder that's a 3D folder like this one, you only need base plate number 1, and you also need something called a specialty plate, which is right here. I forgot to get that out earlier. So this is plate number 4. This comes with the machine as well. It's not you can buy them separate, but you don't need to because it does come with your machine. That goes on top. So it's just platform number 1, then your paper with the embossing folder in the folder with your paper inside, and then the specialty plate on top. And it runs through like butter. It's super easy. There's no grunting and groaning as that goes through. It actually works really well. All right, so let's pop that down and have a little look at it. And because this is shiny paper, I love how this embosses. It looks fantastic. Let's bring it up. Can you see it? You know what, Cindy? Thank you for saying that. I work out. I do it's a bit scary. I do a thing called boot camp. We go down to the waterfront down here at Gosford waterfront, and I do that Tuesday and Thursday mornings, sometimes Saturday mornings, unless it's super cold and I don't want to get out of bed. But I do go down at least 2 mornings a week. And this week she's talking about maybe doing those on Zoom. I'm not sure how that's going to work because I've never done it. But if you're telling me you do your Pilates classes that way, well then it must be able to be done. So there you go. So can you see how nice this is? You've actually got your beautiful shells, all lovely and embossed. Okay, just looks fantastic. Now, of course, it would be nice to make them look even a little bit more special. And I'm just thinking, so what colors do I pull out? I've got a couple of pieces of paper here. I've got this pink, which it looks really nice behind. And I thought I can either put Blushing Bride, which would be a light, or I could go with So Saffron. That would be nice as well. Or we've also got a piece here with the yellow in it, yellow at the top, and it's not as dark, so it might be a little less striking than the pink, but I like them both. So I'm going to ask you guys, you know I am, which one do you prefer? Do you think we'll go with the yellow and the pink? And then I'm going to sponge over these, so I'm going to add a bit more color to them. So do we like it on the yellow and pink DSP piece, or do we like it on the darker pink piece with the yellow behind? Which one do you think? Pink. Okay, pink it is. You guys said it, so that's what we're doing. All right, so this is just a card base size piece of paper, and I've got it in the So Saffron. Just going to grab my bone folder. So, true confession time. This is the bit where I tell you that tonight I'm in my comfy leggings, my UGG boots, and I'm wearing a oversized Stampin' Up Sloppy Joe from a few years ago. It was one of the trips that I went on, and it was actually one that was given to my husband, but at the time it didn't fit him, so I commandeered it. It's way too big for me, but now that he's lost, because some of you may know he lost over 60 kilos. Oh no, sorry, I'll start again. No, he didn't. He lost over 40 kilos, which is still a lot of weight to lose, and of course now this would fit him just fine, but I'm very reluctant to give it back. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to stick this straight on. So I've got myself some seal here. So tomorrow is Monday, and I hope everyone has a great week planned. What's everyone doing? Those of you who are in lockdown, probably not all that much. Maybe you've got plans around the house, or maybe okay, so this is going to go on here. Doesn't this look nice? I just love this. So I'm just thinking, what colors shall we sponge over? I'm thinking I might start with some Blushing Bride. So I'm going to try and use the colors that are in this. But I might also go with a little bit of Sahara Sand as well. So I've got a brighter pink, and I've got a light pink, and we've also got the saffron. So let's get that out. So there's 4 colors. That's probably going to be enough because I've got 5 shells, and I've also got leaves. So I might think about what color green I want to use. And let's see here, what have I got? And I just realized I should have got the I've got a whole new set of brand new Daubers. I should have got those out. Hey Michelle, hi there. Hi Kathy. Nice to see everyone here on a Sunday night. So I am just going to I'm going to sponge here very, very lightly. And when you go over an embossed image like this, it picks up the color on all the ridges. And I hope you can see it's very, very pretty. Can you see that? So it just makes it stand out. You don't want to go too hard. You don't want to do very much. What will I do next? I've got the yellow, I've got the pink, and I just thought about it. I should have, like I said, I should have grabbed my new packet of sponge daubers, so I'm not working with ones that have already got other colors on them. Can everyone hear me okay as I'm moving away a little bit? Yes, it is school holidays. That's right. All right, I'm going to go here. I've got my fresh ones so that if I can't find the right colors, but if I have, like this one has been used for yellow before, so I'm going to go with the soft So Saffron, and I'm thinking just go over this really, really gently. So I'm kind of going in a circular motion just to pick up the ridges, and I'm not pushing hard at all. All right. And then if you're not sure about it, you can also wipe over it with your finger or with a tissue just to get rid of any excess ink. So that's just having a look and making sure that I don't have any. You want to see my fancy? Who wants to see my fancy Dauber organization? Anyone want to see that? Because here it comes. Ta-da! This is what my Dauber organisation, they're just all shoved in a little container and I rifle through and find the ones I need. Isn't that terrible? Anyone else got, I'm sure some of you guys have got much better organisation setups than I do. But yeah, I'm not really, I don't worry. I just use them, and I have just a few, as you can see. This is maybe too pink. Yeah, that's too dark. I don't like that one. I'm going to get a fresh Dauber out and just see if I can get a small amount of pink on it. Oh, wow, Cindy. So that's big news for you. That's better. Was that sudden? Did you know it was coming? All right. I'm actually going to do, now I've got only a small amount on this, I'm actually going to do another one. I don't want to color the whole thing. I really just want to get those ridges. So I'm going really, really softly. Now, choices. I can go, I don't think I want to introduce another blue, but I'm worried that the Flirty Flamingo is going to be too bright. I could do it with the Sahara Sand too. All right, well, let's try it. See what happens. It's not too bad. I can hear my little birdie Cookie. He's making a bit of noise in the background here. And now I'm going to add a bit of Sahara Sand to this and see how that goes. So this one's two-toned. I just feel like I need a bit more of the other color to balance it out. So it's kind of pink in the middle and Sahara Sand on the edges. So now the question is, do we want to make our leaves green, or shall we just leave them as they are? Because now that I've colored all these other pieces, I was thinking I'd go with a bit of neutral green, but I'm thinking maybe not. I'm thinking maybe we leave them. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? They do, don't they? I agree, Cherie. That's true. So is that going to mean a lot less stress for you, Cindy? Because I would think it would. All right. So this is how this is looking. I am thinking I don't really want to add any green. Do you guys agree? Oh, you could leave them. Some people say use the green. Some people say leave them. Maybe I'll do a little compromise, and we will do, I'm thinking a neutral green, which would be this, soft succulent. I think that would be right, but only the tiniest amount and not completely over all the leaves. So I certainly won't color these ones. I might just add a little bit onto these textured ones. So let me grab another Dauber because I don't want one that's too dark. And let's see. See, it's a soft green, so we might get away with this. And if we don't, well, hey, it's still going to be pretty. So I'm only adding a little bit, not very much. So you can see, even without any stamping at all, this is actually a really, really pretty set. I have loved pretty much every card I have made with it. And it just seems to turn out beautiful every time. And you get lots of different effects with these beautiful, beautiful dies and the embossing folder that matches. All right, so I'm pretty happy with that. What do we think? Is that enough green? Let's put it against our piece and see if that's enough. What do you think? Sorry, Tina. I'm just trying to follow your comment. I'm so sorry. Because you're in a totally different time zone. Do you think it looks good with the green? And do you think that's enough, Cindy? Yes. Well, they have made another one, Cherie, and that's what I wanted to show you in a minute. But first of all, I thought I'd go on. Because this paper's going, I thought, let's use it. There's nothing worse than beautiful paper sitting in my stash after it's retired. I really like to use it while I can. Let me see. I've only got a couple of... This is how I attach this die, with dimensionals behind the big shells. Now that's an empty piece. Let me quickly grab another one. This new desk is working so well for me because I've got drawers underneath that I can just reach down while I'm talking to you guys, and it's all right here. It's so good. All right, so I'm just going to add another one here. And that's probably more than enough, probably plenty. So let's take the backs off those. Whoops. Enough green. Yes, mint macaron would have worked too, Tina. You're right. All right, so even without any stamping at all, this is how this comes together. I'm going to add a sentiment, but I think I'll do that after the video because you don't need to see me do that. But the sentiment I most commonly use out of this set is that one that says happy birthday to my beautiful friend. That's so nice. I mean, you're unique and completely amazing. Friends are like seashells. You collect them along the way. I love you to the beach and back. I'm so happy I found you. It's just really, really nice. I love this set. All right, that's my first card. All right, so I'm going to do another one with you, and then I'm going to show you what we've got in the new catalogue that is a similar idea, but not exactly the same. All right, so I've gone ahead, and with that big die again, I've cut another piece. Cut it out of the blue this time. This is balmy blue. I'm just going to push out a couple of these little pieces that didn't push out all the way before. Just go through and get rid of those. Now this time I wanted to show you how you can stamp on this as well as emboss, or instead of, if you want to. So you don't actually have to use the embossing folder if you don't want to. You could just stamp, or you can use both, which looks amazing as well. So it really is a cool set, because until this one came over, I don't remember there being another set like this before. I don't think there was. So this is the biggest one. And I'm deciding, will I go, I think I'll go with Misty Moonlight on this. I think that will work quite well. It's like navy, but just a little bit lighter. Let's make sure that's strong enough. Oh, that's quite strong. I'm actually going to stamp it off like I've just done because that's really dark. And I'm going to bring my head in. I'm so sorry about this, but I've got to get over the top of it to line it up so I can see where I'm going. Right about there. Another, oh, I should be using a mat under this. Let me grab one. Also in my drawer. It's all right. I'll grab one for the next stamping I do. So can you see that that has stamped there? Now I did slightly stamp it off the edge a little bit. It doesn't matter. And if you're embossing, this is worth knowing. If you don't quite line these up when you're doing your stamping, when you emboss, it kind of covers it. It kind of hides the fact that you may have missed some, which I love. I mean, what's not to love about that, right? So let's grab a couple more of these stamps. So we've got a little guy. This is like a little scallop here. Is anyone a shell expert? Does anyone know what these all are? I think this one's a periwinkle. And that one's a scallop, definitely. And I'm just going to color them all with the same. I'm going to use the same ink for all of them. What else have I got? I've got this little guy here. Oh, yeah, I've actually got a couple that look like scallops. Right, so I'm going to pop this one here, and I'm sorry, once again, I've got to keep bringing my head in. Well, that one's darker. I should have stamped that off, but doesn't matter. Won't really make any difference at the end, because that's usually where we put my sentiment anyway. And then this one here. It does definitely work better with your mat underneath. We've got our little, whatever type of shell this is. The conch, yes. I wondered. Oh, you're right. It is a nautilus. Are you a budding marine biologist? And where is this one? This one is still to come. So I'll grab another. Just grab another block. This one would need a D block as well. Sort of goes from corner to corner. So isn't it cool that you can stamp all these? Let's do this once again. Got to get over it. Well, if anyone is in lockdown this week, I tell you, I've got a great activity for you. How about some stamping? Actually, I was going to suggest for anyone who is looking for something to do during the holidays, especially with kids, we have, you may or may not know this, but we have some fantastic new kits that would make fantastic little activities for kids. Some of them have stamping, some of them don't. I know some kids probably shouldn't be let loose around stamps and ink, but we have kits that accommodate both, so that's kind of cool. So if I wanted to now put this through, so you see how I'm off here, even though we know that I'm off here, I'm going to show you that it's quite forgiving when, so I'm lining up my little leaves down the bottom again. That definitely helps. Okay, and let's put this through the machine. I'll move this, bring my machine back in. All I need, remember, is my base plate and my specialty plate. So plate number 1, embossing folder and paper, and plate number 4. Okay, so that's just called a 3D specialty plate for your embossing folders. And it does say that on it in case you were ever feeling confused. It says this is not a cutting surface, so it actually tells you that. And yeah, you'll know well and truly that it's not right. And the embossing folders don't go through properly without it. All right, so now we can see what this looks like when it's embossed and stamped. And it's sort of hard to see, but it feels amazing. It does feel amazing. You'll just have to trust me. All right, so I'll show you how I'm going to put that together. I'm not going to put it together in its entirety right now because like we did before, I'm going to finish it off once this is over. And then I've got my piece of, this is from the paper, Sahara Sand paper there, and see how nice that is with that lovely Sahara Sand look behind. So I'm going to pop this up. I will probably, the other thing I like to do on here, let me see if I have any handy. Oh, I might not. But I like to use some Winker Stella over these as well. I'm just looking to see if I have any handy. I don't, oh, hang on. Yes, I do have some handy. Just not looking properly. That one's not too bad. I want to use the one that's the wettest. Yep, this one. So you can just go over that. Now, that will spread your ink a little bit, but it actually does not take away from how pretty it is. In fact, I think it adds to it. See how the ink is a little darker there where I've gone over than it is on the others? If you don't have Winker Stella, it's basically a glitter pen. It's fantastic to highlight little things on your cards that you want to have shiny and pretty, and it's super, super easy to use. So I did do a Winker Stella, how to open a Winker Stella, because there's a couple of little things you need to know when you're opening it up. I can see the sparkle on that, but I don't know that you'll be able to under the camera. If ever you need to add more to it, you can give it a bit of a squeeze and a bit more will come through, but you don't want to squeeze too hard or too much because otherwise it'll come out and go everywhere. So it's one of those things, you use it sparingly. And just by having a couple of different blues here with the Sahara sand. It's a nice kind of neutral look, but I think it's really, really pretty. So there you go. How about that? There you go. I'm looking at comments, guys, if you're wondering why I've gone quiet all of a sudden. Thank you. I love these colors too. I'm a big fan of these. And like I said, I'm a big fan of the paper. I'm sad it's going, but hey, I know this, that when a catalog ends, the paper usually does too. And for anyone who loves paper that's in our annual catalogue, a lot of the papers are going to be on sale from the 1st of July. Not the ones that are in the mini, they're going, but the stuff that's in the annual catalogue, not the specialty papers. Most of the basic papers are going to be on sale 15% off. So it'll be a good time to stock up if there's a few that you really like. So don't order them now. Unless you want this one. Please order that now because it will be gone. All right. So what I wanted to show you before we finish up is that we have in the catalogue, so in the new catalogue, this one, for the first time we have a set that is called a hybrid, that includes a hybrid embossing folder. And you might say, what the heck is a hybrid embossing folder? Here we go here. It's called the Art and Bloom bundle, and it's on page 157. And it has stamps, and you can see more of it on page 116. So 116 is where you actually see the stamp set, and down the bottom you've got the die, and you'll notice that there's also an embossing folder in the bundle. Okay, so it's not just the stamps and the dies, but you get the embossing folder as well, and it is a hybrid embossing folder. Okay, so I've got that right here, and it's a 3D folder. You would use it with that same specialty plate, the same as we just did a minute ago, but it does do something different that the other one doesn't do. So I wanted to talk about this specifically because a few people have said, is this a hybrid embossing folder too? Can we do the same thing with this one that you can with that? And the answer is no. Okay. They do not recommend that you use this as a hybrid embossing folder. It is to be used the way I've just shown you, so separately. So you would do your die cutting, then you do your embossing, or you do your stamping, and then you do your embossing. Okay, that's how we just use this one, and that's the right way to use it. This one, which is called, oh, is it just called Bloom embossing folder? I have a feeling it might be. Let me have a quick look. I'm going to find it for you. Where is it? I don't know that it's on this page. It isn't. It's actually just in the bundle. I don't think you can buy it by itself. So that's really interesting because it's here in the bundle, but it's not over here on the embossing folder page. So it must only be available in the bundle. If anyone wants to correct me, please tell me. Yes, Stink of Weller. I know. I've got a friend who always calls it Stink of Weller. She said it once the wrong way by mistake, and it's been that ever since. And it's kind of fun to say. So yeah, this embossing folder looks like it's only available when you buy the stamps and or it's part of the dies, part of the bundle. Okay, I'm wondering, can you buy it if you buy just the dies? Does it come with it? But maybe not. So it's called Bloom, and the bundle is called Art in Bloom. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Just having a look here to see if it's on. No, it's not in this page either. So there you go. It's only available here as a bundle with the embossing folder included. Interesting. And if you're wondering, here in Australia, that bundle of stamps, dies, and the embossing folder is $91.75, which I think is actually a really great price because you're getting your embossing folder in there as well. So it's kind of cool. All right, so this one, let me quickly grab. This is the stamp set. It's called Art in Bloom, and it's got 15 stamps. And you might notice it's got this here. This is not 3 stamps. This is one big stamp. And, well, let's see if I can show you. You might see that this actually perfectly matches up with these guys. So these you can stamp and emboss the same as we just did with the seashells folder, but the difference is the way the dies work with the embossing folder. So I'm going to grab those out for you. Give me 1 second. I'll try not to trip over my machine. So the dies are just called Bloom dies. Here they are. I didn't realize I didn't grab those out earlier. Whoops. But isn't it nice? Everything's so close by now that that it all just works. All right, so here's the die that cuts out these 3 little flowers. Can you see that? Cuts those out. So this is one stamp that cuts out with one die. So you don't have to worry about lining them up. It's always going to work because they're made to work together. Then if you wanted to, you can actually put this here. Actually, I need to do it the other way around. This fits inside here, and then your paper goes in here. All right, so these cut and emboss at the same time. So when you cut this, you'll end up with, I'm just going to, I know I've got one here. You're going to end up with your separate little pieces. Here's the little flowers that you end up with. And my piece, oh, here it is. This is the piece. See, this piece here came out of here, right? But that's these shapes. You see those there? So it cuts and embosses all in one pass. So you put the paper inside, whatever paper you're going to use. Let me just quickly grab a random piece of paper, any old piece of paper. Then this lines up here, and it actually fits in really, really well. Then it goes down, and it's designed to run through. Let's do it. Let's do it so I can show you. I haven't cut the paper to size or anything like that, but that's okay. Got my platform, my die with the paper inside. This, and if I had stamped these first, I could put my stamped images in as well. It's not hard to roll through. It's really, really simple. And I've got a couple of cards I did for a class recently with these. All right, so we have our flowers now cut out and this piece here. And then how would you use that? I mean, if you weren't putting the die in, of course, you're just going to emboss this piece with these flowers on here. But here's a card I did the other day. So this is how it looked when I put the flowers back in. And when I put the flowers back in, I used a little bit of a sponge dauber like we did with the shells before. I daubed over the flowers, and then I put them back in, and I daubed over some of the leaves as well. But I put them in so that they were slightly offset, so you can actually see the outline of them. If I put them exactly in the place, and they are on dimensionals as well, but if I put them exactly in, you don't see that edge as much, but I thought it looked better if it was slightly offset. Does that make sense what I did? Yeah, you do have to buy all 3 together. That's crazy, right? But it's good. All right, so this is what it looks like before you put your pieces in. Okay, so you can see I just stuck this piece straight down, and then I've got this piece here that I can put straight in, but I would put it up on dimensionals to make it sort of stand out a little bit more, and then I would offset it ever so slightly so I have this edge. And my advice would be, if you're going to offset it like this, do all 3 of them the same. Go like, if you're going to go this direction, offset them all the same direction so it looks like a little shadow. Or if you're going the other way, you know, do them all offset from this side. So whichever side you offset them from, make them all the same. Does that make sense to everybody? Hi, Roxanne. Nice to meet you. Whereabouts in Ohio are you from? Until recently, until he married me and moved here 5 years ago, my husband lived in Ohio. It's not where he's from. He's from Michigan, but all his friends teased him about, you know, Michigan State versus Ohio, which is a big rivalry over there apparently. But I'm sure you know all about that. All right, so there we go. We ended up with a couple of cards that I'm going to finish off. Oh, I'll show you a couple of other cards I did with this as well. I've done quite a few, but I just pulled a couple out. I did these vellum ones a couple of weeks ago. Some of you may have seen me do these live. This one I did just on vellum and then coloured over the back of the vellum with sponge daubers, and then used it on a balmy blue background to create this kind of, it's kind of a really soft look, isn't it? This one is the embossing folder on the polished pink shimmer vellum, so it's got a real shine to it, and I just popped a couple of the shells on the bottom and some of the paper here behind, and that turned out really nice. And then this one, I did the embossing on foil. Now, this is actually champagne foil, which we don't have anymore, but it's very similar, almost identical to the Sahara sand foil that is about to retire out of the mini catalogue. So if you want to get your hands on some of that, it's softer than silver. Silver is quite harsh, and we don't have silver anymore anyway. We have gold and copper. But we do have some new, shiny, wonderful things coming out in the mini catalogue, which I cannot wait for. So let me just show you quickly the foils I'm talking about. They're right up the front here on page 11. They're here, number 3. They're called Love You Always foil sheets. $17.50. You get 6 sheets, 2 each in the Blushing Bride, 2 in Rococo Rose, which is now a retired colour, and 2 in the Sahara Sand, which looks almost exactly like this. Very, very close to the champagne. So I loved that one. I braided over the background and then just cut and then embossed my seashells. I didn't add any stamping except for the sentiment. I think it turned out really, really pretty. I really love how that came out. Okay, so do we have any questions before I head off tonight? Anyone have anything they'd like to ask me, or anything that I don't mind, whether that be personal, whether it be about cards, or whether it be about Stampin' Up, anything, just ask. I do not mind. Sometimes I know people want to ask questions, but they leave it too late and then it's all finished and you can't ask anymore. "60 miles south of Cleveland." Yes, the Buckeyes. But my husband is from Michigan State, and he actually doesn't follow the football at all. So he does it more as a joke, just to get under the skin of his friends that lived in Ohio, because he worked in Lima, Ohio, which been up that way. I went to visit him there a couple of times before he moved over. But yeah, it's Michigan, where he comes from. His parents live like just right on Lake Michigan, and it's just beautiful, so lovely over there. So it's Western Michigan on the lake. So there you go. We haven't been able to get home though. Of course, we're still unable to travel. We have been unable to travel for well over, nearly a year and a half now. So yeah. Oh, you hadn't heard people say "stink of Weller" before, Roxanne? I know. That's what I love about this, Tina. It's so nice that everyone talks to each other and everyone chats, and I've seen all sorts of friendships start on these live videos, so I think it's wonderful. I'm trying to read back to see if anyone has questions. I'm going back through the comments. Hey, Michelle, how are you going? Michelle, just so you know, I don't know whether you were thinking of it, but my online class finishes tomorrow, so you can still register if you would like to. And for anyone else as well, if you're not in Australia, you can still buy the tutorial, but I have a couple of different tutorial options going on my blog right at the moment. But also, I am sending, for those of you in Australia, if you'd like to do the class and actually make it along while you watch the tutorial, I will send you all the products. I will send you all the supplies to do that. You've just got to have your own stamps and inks and adhesive. I have got a full supplies list on my blog. So, but that will close off tomorrow. So if anybody wants to be part of that, I'll put those details in the description very shortly. Thank you. I hope there's some good tips there, and I hope it helps people to. What I really hope is that helps you get the most out of your dies and out of your supplies and things that you own. Because what's the point of having all these beautiful things if you don't know the best ways to use them? That's what I think. So that is what we try and do, right? We will have a great week, and I hope you do too. We've got 2 weeks of this lockdown, and I hope that'll be enough to get it under control again. But for everyone who's stuck at home, maybe find some creative time. I've also promised myself I'm going to finish reading a book that I've been reading. I'm so ashamed of myself. It's a big book, like it's nearly 900 pages long, but I have been reading it for about 18 months. And I'm so in a what they call it, like a book slump, a reading slump. So I really this morning I sat down and I read 50 pages. I was so proud of myself. But I'm decided that maybe this lockdown is a good chance for me to get that book finished. That would be awesome. All right, guys. Well, I hope everyone has a great night. Whatever you're doing, stay warm wherever you might be. And I hope that as this couple of weeks lockdown starts, I hope everyone is going to stay safe and do all the right things. And let's get through it. We're in it together, guys. And I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.